They told you to just visualize it, to think positive, make a vision board, and wait for the universe to deliver. They said your thoughts create your reality. But if that's true, why do so many people still feel stuck? Why do the things you deeply desire sometimes stay just out of reach? And why do certain patterns keep repeating, even when you swear you've done the work? The truth is, the law of attraction isn't a mental game. It's not about wanting harder or faking joy to raise your vibration. It's about energy, alignment, embodiment, and most of all, honesty. Because you don't attract what you wish for, you attract what you are. This video isn't about surface-level manifestation hacks. It's about the deeper mechanics of creation, the frequencies that shape your world when no one is watching, the invisible currents you're swimming in, and the truth that you are always in a conversation with the universe, whether you realize it or not. So the question isn't, does it work? It's, do you know how to listen to the energy you're speaking with every day? Let's go there. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you are always in the act of creation. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you allow to linger, every choice you make, they are all frequencies, shaping the unseen architecture of your life. Even when you feel lost or stuck, even when you believe nothing is happening, you are still creating. There is no pause button on energetic output. Life does not stop responding simply because you've stopped paying attention. The truth is, creation isn't just a special moment of inspiration or a burst of manifesting energy during a full moon ritual. It's not reserved for the vision board, the journal entry, or the meditation cushion. Creation is in the way you walk into a room, the way you speak to yourself in silence, the way you hold your energy, even when no one else is looking. Have you ever paused to consider what you're creating right now? Right now, as you read this, your energy is broadcasting something. A belief, a mood, a set of assumptions about what's possible or not. You are constantly in dialogue with the field around you, and the field is constantly listening. This is not meant to scare you. It's meant to awaken you. Because if you're always creating, then there's never truly a moment of disempowerment, only unconsciousness. And if unconsciousness is the issue, then awareness is the beginning of everything. Let's explore this for a moment. When you're thinking a thought repeatedly, especially one fueled by strong emotion, let's say worry or fear or longing, you are feeding that frequency into the field. You're building a structure. Maybe it's subtle, invisible. Maybe it's energetic scaffolding you can't yet see with your eyes. But the architecture is real, and it begins to attract experiences, people, and sensations that match it, that resonate with it. This is the mechanics of creation through vibration, not just through desire. The universe doesn't grant wishes the way we've been taught. It doesn't hear words. It hears resonance, and it always responds in kind. So when you say, I want abundance, but hold a constant vibration of scarcity and fear, the field reads your energy, not your words. When you say, I want love, but carry a frequency of abandonment, unworthiness, or self-rejection, the field responds to that, not your intention, but your embodiment. That's why so many people get frustrated with the law of attraction. It's not that it isn't working, it's that it's working perfectly, just not in the way they expect. So if you are always creating something, the question becomes, what are you creating unconsciously right now? What patterns are on repeat beneath your awareness? What emotional states have become so familiar, you mistake them for personality? What are you inviting into your field, not through what you want, but through what you expect? These are powerful questions. They require honesty, humility, and deep presence. But they also unlock the gates of your power. Because once you begin to observe, truly observe, the energy you're holding in your body, your thoughts, and your habits, you can begin to shift it. And when you shift your frequency, the field cannot help but shift with you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to fake joy. You don't need to bypass your shadows. All of you, even your pain, can become part of the creative force when you approach it with awareness and love. Creation isn't about control, it's about coherence. It's about choosing again and again to bring your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy into alignment with what your soul already knows is true. So remember, you are always creating something. And when you remember this not as a burden, but as a gift, you start to create on purpose, with reverence, with magic, and everything begins to change. The law of attraction is one of the most misunderstood spiritual principles of our time. It's been watered down into catchphrases and commercial slogans. Think positive, just manifest it, raise your vibe, and attract abundance. But beneath the surface-level affirmations and glossy vision boards, there is a much deeper, more sacred truth, one that asks more of you and offers infinitely more in return. The law of attraction is not wishful thinking. It's not magical thinking. It's vibrational law. It is a mirror, not a genie. At its core, it states that like attracts like. Whatever frequency you are holding, consciously or unconsciously, becomes the magnet that calls forth experiences, relationships, and outcomes that resonate with it. Not because the universe is testing you or rewarding you, but because this is how resonance works. This is how energy behaves. It's tempting to think of the law of attraction as a tool, something you can use when you want something to change. But the truth is, it's not something you use at all. It's not an app you open. It's not a ritual you do on full moons. It is a law. It's always active. Just like gravity, it doesn't care if you believe in it or not. It's responding to what you are, not what you say. And what you are is layered. On the surface, you may desire love, success, clarity, or healing. But beneath that desire lives a frequency, a pattern, an emotional tone that your body has become familiar with. Maybe it's longing, maybe it's unworthiness, maybe it's a fear of disappointment so old it feels like truth. Here's the key most people miss. The law of attraction is responding to that emotional tone, not your conscious desire. If you want something, but believe, deep down, that you can't have it, the signal you're emitting is lack. If you try to manifest joy, but carry resentment or grief you haven't yet processed, your vibration becomes tangled, conflicted, out of coherence, and coherence matters. True creation, lasting soulful creation, only occurs when your intention and your vibration match. Not when you say it, but when you become it. When your words, thoughts, feelings, and energetic signature are in alignment. That's when you become a transmitter of the reality you desire, not just a seeker of it. This is why so many people feel let down by the law of attraction. They say the affirmations. They do the meditations. But they're doing it from a place of desperation, not embodiment. From fear, not faith. From mental effort, not energetic clarity. And the field picks up on that. So what's the truth? The law of attraction works, not when you force it, but when you align with it. Not when you chase what you want, but when you become what you desire to experience. If you want love, become the frequency of love. In how you speak to yourself, how you move through your day, how you treat the world around you. If you want abundance, embody the energy of trust, not just in money, but in life itself. If you want healing, create an environment, inner and outer, where safety, nourishment, and presence can actually land. Because the truth is, the universe cannot bring you what you are unwilling to receive, and it cannot deliver to the version of you that is not vibrationally ready for what you're calling in. So ask yourself, do I want this from fear or from freedom? Am I asking the universe to prove something to me or to partner with me? Am I willing to become the version of me who naturally lives in this reality I say I desire? These are the questions that change everything. The law of attraction is not about forcing reality into your preferences. It's about becoming a clear vessel for the reality that already wants to meet you, one that matches your deepest truth, not your passing cravings. And here's the secret. When you begin to live this way, from energetic alignment rather than effort, manifestation stops being a struggle. It becomes a side effect of your coherence, a reflection of your frequency, not because you tried harder, but because you remembered who you are, a creator of realities. a soul in dialogue with the infinite, a vibrational being whose every thought, emotion, and intention shapes the fabric of what you experience. You're not here to beg for blessings. You're here to embody them. And when you do, when you live from the fullness of your own truth, the field responds, not as a favor, but as a law. Why alignment is more important than desire. Desire is powerful. It's the spark that ignites dreams, the fuel that propels us forward, the whisper that says, there is more for you. But desire by itself is not enough. In fact, without alignment, desire can become a source of suffering. It can turn into longing, chasing, disappointment, a perpetual feeling of being just out of reach of the life you know you're meant to live. So why isn't desire enough? Because desire speaks from the surface, but alignment speaks from the soul. You can want something deeply, love, abundance, purpose, and still block it energetically because you're not a vibrational match to receive it. You can crave change and stay frozen in fear. You can visualize success and still carry a frequency of self-doubt so loud that the universe responds, not to what you say you want, but to what you truly believe about yourself. Alignment is when your thoughts, emotions, energy, and actions are all speaking the same language. It's when what you want is in harmony with what you feel worthy of receiving. When you stop wishing and start becoming. When your inner reality mirrors the world you're asking to see outside you. Desire without alignment often creates resistance. It creates the energy of not having. Think about it. When you desperately want something but feel far from it, every time you think of that thing, your body contracts. You start to focus on the absence, the lack, the separation. Your nervous system responds with stress. Your field starts emitting frequencies of urgency, scarcity, or obsession, and the universe mirrors that back. But when you are aligned, something shifts. Your desire becomes an extension of who you already are, not a reminder of what you think you're missing. You stop operating from need and begin moving from knowing. You stop trying to control reality and begin to trust your resonance. And it's that shift, from force to flow, from lack to embodiment, that creates magnetism. So ask yourself, are my desires coming from alignment, or are they coming from a wound? Do I want this because it's true to my soul, or because I think it will finally make me feel whole? Desire is not bad, it's sacred, but it needs to be purified by presence, alchemized through awareness. If not, desire becomes noise. It becomes a distraction that pulls you outward, instead of an inner compass that leads you home. Alignment, on the other hand, creates coherence, and coherence is power. When you are aligned, you don't have to chase what is meant for you. You attract it effortlessly, not because you did it right, but because you are finally inhabiting the frequency that allows it to reach you. You become a match, a magnet, not through struggle, but through clarity. And here's the mystical truth. Alignment often asks you to slow down before you speed up, to go inward before you manifest outward, to clear what isn't yours, to reprogram the parts of you that still operate from fear, guilt, or the need to prove your worth. Sometimes it means saying no to what you thought you wanted, not because you're giving up, but because you're finally hearing your real yes. And that real yes is always quiet, but powerful. It lives in the body. It shows up in peace, not panic, in flow, not force. When you begin to live from alignment, desire becomes less about acquiring and more about expressing. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I embody? You don't just want love, you become love. You don't just want abundance, you radiate abundance through your choices, your energy, your presence. You don't just want purpose, you live in alignment with your soul, even when no one is watching. This is when reality shifts. This is when the universe begins to move with you, not because you asked harder, but because you became clearer, quieter, more truthful, more grounded in your own essence. You were never meant to beg life to give you what you desire. You were meant to awaken into the frequency that makes it inevitable. And that frequency, that alignment, isn't something you perform, it's something you remember. Not all thoughts are created equal. We often treat them like passing clouds, random, fleeting, without weight. But in truth, every thought carries a frequency, a vibration, a subtle signature that ripples through your energetic field and informs how the universe responds to you. We live in a reality governed by energy first, form second, which means that behind every thought there is a current, something invisible yet impactful, something that either expands your field or contracts it. And that current doesn't just shape your mindset, it shapes your magnetism. This is the part of the law of attraction that's often misunderstood. It's not merely about thinking positively or visualizing outcomes. It's about becoming aware of the energetic origin of your thoughts. Where are they really coming from? Fear or trust? Scarcity or abundance? Doubt or deep inner knowing? You might have a thought like, "I want to succeed." On the surface, it sounds empowering, but feel into the energy behind it. Is it rooted in joy and purpose, or in the fear of not being enough? In the excitement of creating something beautiful, or in the pressure to prove your worth to others? That hidden energy behind the thought is what the universe hears most. Your field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. So often, we try to correct our thoughts, force them into a higher frequency by repeating affirmations or avoiding negativity. But energy doesn't shift through force. It shifts through awareness. When you meet a thought with presence, when you get curious instead of judgmental, something powerful happens. You access the truth beneath the thought. And from that truth, you gain choice. You begin to recognize patterns, recurring thoughts that aren't even yours, but absorbed from the world around you. The collective fears, family expectations, old beliefs passed down through generations. When you see these thoughts for what they are, energetic imprints, not eternal truths, you start to reclaim your field. You stop thinking from conditioning and start thinking from consciousness. This is when you begin to feel the immense power you hold. Because behind every thought is a seed, and that seed is either reinforcing your current reality or planting something new. The more aware you become of the energy you're carrying when you think, speak, or act, the more intentional you become about the future you're shaping. It's not just what you think that matters. It's how you hold that thought. Do you dwell in it with tightness and resistance? Or do you let it pass through you like wind through trees? Do you identify with it as truth? Or do you observe it as a visitor in your space? Awareness is everything, because once you become aware, you become the master, not the puppet. Many people try to think their way into a new reality while still vibrating in the old one. They visualize abundance while clenching with fear. They speak affirmations while their nervous system screams lack. But the field doesn't lie. The field responds to coherence, to congruence, to the unspoken truths living inside of you. So what do? You slow down. You listen more closely. You begin asking, what is the energy behind this thought? Is it aligned with who I am becoming? Or is it pulling me backward into who I no longer wish to be? You meet your thoughts like sacred messengers, not enemies to silence, but signals to decode. Eventually, you begin to feel the thoughts before they even form into words. You sense when you're slipping into fear. You notice when you're over-identifying with an old story. And instead of spiraling, you breathe. You return to presence. You realign your field. And when your field is clear, when your thoughts rise from truth, not trauma, manifestation becomes a natural byproduct, not a desperate pursuit. This is the subtle mastery that many overlook. The quiet recalibrations, the invisible alignments, the daily moments of choosing coherence over chaos. And as you continue to tune your inner world, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. The universe mirrors you more quickly. Opportunities show up in resonance with your intentions. People respond to your grounded energy. The noise of doubt begins to quiet. Not because your mind is louder, but because your field is stronger. Because behind every thought, there is a frequency. And when that frequency is rooted in soul, in truth, in presence, you don't just attract a different reality. You become it. How resistance silently blocks manifestation. Manifestation doesn't begin with action. It begins with alignment. And alignment isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about releasing what stands in the way of receiving it. This is where resistance enters, often unnoticed, like a quiet tension humming beneath your desires. You might say you're ready, but resistance says otherwise. Not with words, but with energy. Resistance is the unseen weight behind your affirmations, the invisible wall between your intention and its fulfillment. It doesn't shout, it whispers, it hides inside your nervous system, your habits, your expectations, your self-concept. And unless you know how to feel it, name it, and alchemize it, it will continue to quietly block what you're trying to call in. Have you ever tried to manifest something with your whole heart, and still nothing happens? Or things begin to move, but then stall or fall apart just as you get close? That's not failure, that's friction. It's your internal field saying, I want this, but I don't feel safe to receive it. And the universe listens more to your energetic truth than your spoken intention, because your field isn't just attracting what you think you want. It's constantly mirroring what you believe is possible, safe, and available for you. So, what is resistance really? It's the protective mechanism built around your past experiences. It's the energetic residue of moments when you were disappointed, betrayed, overlooked, or abandoned. Resistance is the body remembering pain and doing everything it can to prevent you from experiencing it again, even if that means sabotaging the very thing your soul craves. You begin with the body, with the energy underneath your desire. You don't just ask, what do I want? You ask, what am I afraid will happen if I get it? What will change? What might you lose? What identity will you have to let go of? Because here's the paradox. Even when you want something beautiful, your old identity may see it as a threat. If you manifest abundance, maybe you'll outgrow people who once felt safe. If you find love, maybe you'll have to stop hiding. If you succeed, maybe you'll have to be seen fully, flaws, shadows, and all. Resistance lives in the places where you're not yet fully willing to be transformed. And this is why shadow work is a sacred part of manifestation. Because you're not just asking the universe for something, you're asking yourself to expand into someone who can hold it. You must become the energetic match for what you're calling in, not by faking confidence or suppressing fear, but by walking with it, listening to it, letting it reveal what still needs healing. Resistance is not your enemy. It's your inner protector. It only becomes a block when you ignore it or fight it. But when you listen, you gain access to the very beliefs that have been shaping your reality. You begin to see the thought forms that say, it's not safe to shine. I'm not worthy. Good things don't last. And instead of resisting the resistance, you meet it with compassion, curiosity, breath. You bring those parts of you back into the light, and something begins to shift. You soften, you release the tension, you feel the contraction begin to open. And in that moment, that quiet return to safety, you realign with the field of allowing. From that place, you don't just want something, you're ready to receive it. Your energy becomes clearer, your field expands, your frequency rises, not because you're forcing it, but because you've removed what was weighing it down. And suddenly, the manifestations that once felt far away begin to come closer, not through effort, through receptivity. Because the truth is, manifestation isn't about getting more, it's about becoming lighter, clearer, more coherent with your essence. And when you dissolve resistance, what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. It flows, because it finally has space to enter. So now, ask yourself, what part of me is still holding on, clenching, doubting, hiding? What part of me doesn't believe it's truly safe to receive the life I'm calling in? Not to judge it, but to witness it. Because when you meet your resistance with presence, you no longer block the path. You become the path. There's a subtle shift that happens when you move from chasing to attracting. It's the moment you stop grasping and start resonating. It's the difference between force and frequency, between trying to get reality to move and becoming the energy that reality naturally responds to. To be magnetic is not to be louder, faster, or more intense. It's not about doing more rituals, saying more affirmations, or filling every hour with manifestation techniques. Being magnetic is a frequency, a coherence between your inner truth and your outer field. It's alignment, clarity, embodiment. Have you ever noticed that some people just draw things to them? Opportunities, synchronicities, the right conversations at the perfect time? It's not luck. It's not even effort. It's resonance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This is where many people get stuck. They focus so much on the wanting that they stay in a frequency of lack. They chase outcomes. They chase people. They chase signs. But chasing implies distance. It reinforces the belief that what you seek is separate from you, somewhere outside of reach. But the magnetic field around your body is intelligent. It communicates constantly with the quantum fabric of reality. It doesn't speak the language of desire. It speaks the language of vibration. If your body holds fear, if your thoughts are rooted in doubt, if your nervous system is tangled in urgency, your field broadcasts all of that. Even when your words say, "I am abundant," your energy might still be whispering, "But I don't believe I'm safe to receive." Magnetism begins when you no longer try to convince the universe. You simply become a match for what you're ready to hold. This is a quieter power, one that isn't driven by striving, but by remembering. You remember your worth. You remember your essence. You remember that everything you seek is already encoded in you. And the more deeply you root into your truth, the more naturally reality bends around you. But how do you begin to shift from forcing to resonating? Start by coming back to the body, to your breath, to your baseline frequency. Instead of reaching outward, tune inward. Ask, what frequency am I currently living in? Is it trust or control, peace or pressure, presence or proving? Your field doesn't respond to what you pretend to feel. It responds to what's real. And that's not something you can fake your way into. You align your energy by honoring your process, your pace, your healing. Sometimes, becoming magnetic means slowing down, becoming still. Not because you're doing nothing, but because you're doing the most powerful thing. You're shifting your frequency from the inside out. Magnetism also comes from clarity. Clarity doesn't mean controlling the details. It means knowing how you want to feel. When you get clear on the feeling, freedom, expansion, connection, love, and live from that feeling now, the outer world begins to reflect it back. Not because you're demanding it, but because you've become it. Another key element is self-trust. When you don't trust yourself, you chase. You overthink. You doubt your timing, your path, your voice. But when you trust yourself deeply, even in the unknown, you become calm, still, centered, and in that stillness, your signal strengthens. This is what makes you magnetic. Because people, opportunities, and manifestations aren't drawn to noise. They're drawn to coherence. To be magnetic is to be deeply rooted in who you are. Not trying to impress, not trying to outperform, not trying to earn anything. You're not reaching outward with urgency. You're radiating inward with certainty. You begin to move like nature, without rush, without apology, without fear. You don't need to convince the sun to rise or the flowers to bloom. It happens because the conditions are aligned. So too with your life. When your energy is aligned, life responds, not because you forced it, but because you resonated with it. So ask yourself gently, am I still trying to force my reality into shape? Or am I ready to become magnetic to the life that already wants to meet me? Because true manifestation doesn't come from pushing, it comes from becoming. You don't have to chase what's already on its way to you. You just have to become still enough to receive it. You were never just here to survive. You weren't born to merely adapt, obey, or dim. Your soul didn't choose this incarnation to passively drift through a pre-written script. You came here to remember, to reawaken, to reclaim the truth you've always carried, that you are a co-creator of reality, not a spectator. You are not separate from the universe. You are an extension of it. The breath that fills your lungs, the pulse in your chest, the light behind your eyes. It's all the same energy that moves the stars, the tides, the galaxies. The universe doesn't simply live around you, it lives through you. And once you truly feel that, not just as a concept, but as a knowing in your bones, everything changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for signs that you're ready. You stop giving your power away to circumstances, timelines, or limitations that were never truly yours. Because you realize, creation is not something reserved for the divine. Creation is divine, and you are made of that divinity. The same universal intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos beats your heart. The same force that births worlds flows through your thoughts, your voice, your vision. You are not just a drop in the ocean of existence. You are the ocean, expressing itself as a drop. And yet, somewhere along the way, many of us were taught to forget. We were conditioned to believe we must earn love, beg for miracles, hustle for worth. We were told to play small, to play safe, to play quiet. We were taught that power was dangerous, especially the kind that comes from within. But your true power has nothing to do with control. It has nothing to do with domination, manipulation, or ego. Your true power is presence, intention, alignment. When you embody your soul's frequency, reality bends to meet you, not out of obligation, but because that's how this universe works. It mirrors you. When you vibrate from a place of fear, life seems chaotic, unpredictable, unstable. When you vibrate from a place of trust, peace, and inner clarity, that's exactly what life begins to reflect. You were born to create not by force, but by resonance. Your thoughts carry weight. Your emotions hold energy. Your words shape timelines. Your very being broadcasts a signal into the quantum field, and the universe listens, always. The question is, what are you broadcasting? Not from your lips, but from your energy. Because manifestation isn't about the external effort, it's about the internal embodiment. It's not about convincing the universe to give you something. It's about aligning with the version of you who's already living it. You don't manifest through craving. You manifest through becoming. When you speak from your truth, walk in your integrity, and act from your highest clarity, you're not just influencing your life. You're activating a ripple. You're reweaving your part of the cosmic web. You're returning to the sacred agreement your soul made long before you arrived here. To remember that you are the bridge between the invisible and the seen. To awaken the creator within. To live as the living prayer you already are. So if you've ever wondered whether you're powerful enough, intuitive enough, aligned enough, stop. You already are. You've always been. Your power was never lost, just buried beneath layers of fear, conditioning, and forgetting. But now you remember. Now you feel the pulse of creation echoing through your cells. Now you feel the call to stop waiting for proof and instead become the evidence. Because the universe isn't out there watching you. It's right here, responding to you. And it's waiting for your next command, not the one spoken with force, but the one radiated with presence. The command of embodiment, of certainty, of knowing. You are the spell. You are the signal. You are the seed of a new world. And the moment you stop playing small, the moment you stop dimming your frequency to fit into a reality that no longer matches you, you don't just create your life, you elevate the collective field. You were born to shape reality, not just for yourself, but for all of us. So breathe deep, stand tall, feel the truth rise in your chest. You are not a bystander in this universe. You are a creator in communion with the divine, and your time is now.